Some movies are highbrow, some movies are lowbrow.
Welcome to Highbrow Lowbrow. I'm Josh Kirschenbaum.
I'm Cooper Gagan.
Each week we pick a topic and talk about two movies that fit that topic, one highbrow, one lowbrow. This week the topic is short-term memory loss. On the highbrow side, we've got Memento. On the lowbrow side, we've got 50 First Dates. Cooper, I noticed you didn't chime in with a resounding short-term memory loss.
I bit my tongue.
Because we got to do more bits. Like, we got to get more things for the fans to be like, oh, they're doing that thing.
We're gonna have to start a bingo card for the bits we're doing.
Exactly, yeah. Because like you want people, it's just all memes. It's just in-person memes.
Yeah.
Anyway, you really let me down.
I'm sorry. Next time I'll do better. I need to put in my show notes that I need to chime in with adding absolutely nothing to the conversation.
Put in your show notes. I need to do better.
Yeah, and along with the show notes I'm thinking, should I get some more like scarves or something on the mic here, like an Aerosmith kind of deal? I think that might help my confidence.
Yeah. No, Anza just like really just like juice it up, like really just like come in hot, like set this up, then leave, then I'll come in, and then you're just like, all right, I'm ready to record, and you slam the door.
Yeah,
and you're ready to go. So these movies are very different, is something I noticed.
But very similar in a lot. I mean, I'm kind of excited because there's a lot of. I mean,
it's a clean 1-to-1.
Mechanically, they're talking about the exact same phenomena,
right? With
one slight difference, that is the timeline at which the memory resets.
Right. I don't think that the plot of 50 First Dates would work with the time frame of the Memento disease.
It would be really tough.
Right. It would be
speed dating, 51st speed dates.
It would be 500 first dates.
Yeah.
Hey. And Memento is freaking great.
Oh yeah, it's a movie that's very good, very upsetting.
Yeah.
It really kind of bothered me for maybe an hour or two after watching it. I'm kind of glad I left 50 First Dates to be the second movie.
Oh yeah, that was probably smart. I finished Memento like an hour or 2 hours ago. I don't know what time it is, but like after work. So man, it's so emotional. I feel like I remember Memento being very like clinical because it's this crazy concept, which we should probably explain in a second.
Yeah.
And it's like this noir thriller, and it's kind of like the classic Nolan like trickery going on, but it's really emotional. It's really dark. Like the ending is like very morally questionable. Like not in that like the movie's problematic, in that like it's sort of unclear whether or not you should feel triumphant about any of it.
I think it's pretty clear you're not supposed to feel triumphant about it.
But it's like maybe he's doing good things, but maybe not. But really he's just like trapped in this cycle of needing to kill people.
I don't what good things is he doing though? Because like it's established that Joe Pantoliano, right? It's a miniature Matrix reunion between him and Carrie-Anne Moss, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. Came out the year after. But Joey Pants is not leading him in the direction of people who need to be killed for righteous reasons. He's just trying to make money off of him.
Right. But although he does make the point that like these are like sort of one of the themes of the movie is that like, you know, like you don't really exist beyond the moment you're in.
Right.
And like he's giving Guy Pearce these triumphant moments that like is the only thing he lives for anymore, is to like feel that he's gotten revenge. And I think you mentioned that they've done it like a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it does get into it really just gets into the existential question of what does, on a longer timeline, why does anything you do in life matter if you die?
Right.
But it happens every 10 minutes.
Yeah. I really feel bad that I kind of like jumped the gun and went into my like nothing really matters rant on the Vegas episode and not in the Memento episode, which is kind of what the Memento is about.
Yeah.
Interestingly, with Guy Pearce,
but it is really what Vegas, the city, is about.
Right, nothing really matters. They
had a whole ad campaign about it.
Yeah, and it's not my fault that the Vegas movies are all about memory too.
I mean, watching these movies reminded me a lot of the Vegas episode because of how we were talking about how both Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and The Hangover deal a lot with memory and lost time, which is explicitly what these movies are about a lot.
Yeah,
and even like the moment of Hunter Thompson or Dr. Gonzo waking up in the hotel room, not having memory of what happened, just with all the stuff around him that reminds him of it. I mean, happens every 10 scene. It's every scene in Memento.
And that's what's so brilliant, because on the one hand you think like, okay, so the concept of Memento is, you know, he has short-term memory loss, and the movie is told backwards. Every scene is followed by the one that came before it chronologically. Yeah. Which you wouldn't think like those match up 1-to-1. You got short-term memory loss, that's a bit, telling it backwards one bit, but that's actually the only way to tell a story about short-term memory loss and have every scene start in his brain space.
Yeah, it's the only way to replicate in the audience what he is experiencing.
Because every time it starts, you're just like, you don't know where he is or what he's doing. Like, you're as lost as he is, and he's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I will say, we normally make a big point of giving credit to writers, but on Memento, I want to give some credit to Dodie Dorn, who is the editor of this movie, and she is a remarkable editor.
Yeah,
she was actually she was the editor for the pilot that we worked on.
Oh,
together.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, she was a big get for us. It was really exciting.
Yeah,
and she
nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
This is a movie that is very much built in editing, and this is a perfect example of how editors are storytellers, and they can do there can be virtuoso editing, and if there's any case of virtuoso editing, it is this film.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that the best editing Oscar is like the most predictive of Best Picture over the years, just because like the movies are built in the editing bay, and like stories are built in the editing bay. And this movie's freaking great. Very well edited.
Yeah, because the process of creating a story doesn't end. You think it ends when you write it, or a lot of people think it ends when you write it, and then you shoot stuff, and then you have ad-libbing on set. You have
you catch stuff.
You catch stuff.
You're like, oh, there's a train going by. Let's make sure we catch that.
Yeah, you get some extra shot. You get some nice shots that kind of come up in the moment, and then you think that's over, and then it's really not over because then there's editing, in which case some of that stuff gets left on the floor.
Yeah.
Sometimes you juxtapose scenes that you didn't think were going to be together, and sometimes you're flipping stuff around entirely in the script. And it's great.
Yeah.
Everyone's an artist. It's great.
Yeah. Yes. This is going to be our positive episode. This is going to be us saying nice things about the film industry.
I mean, it is the best part of film being such a collaborative medium is that every single, particularly department heads, but every single crew member really has their opportunity to have authorial input into the movie and to add their own little touch of creativity and their own storytelling. Like the prop guys. The prop guys do a lot of key storytelling. We were talking about that in
I mean, we talked about that. We have costume design as well. Like what the characters are wearing matters so much. Like every little thing. Like I mean,
the wigs matter a lot for a character.
I mean, speaking of costumes, I mean the big suit that Guy Pearce wears.
That's a big moment in the movie when you find out
why he's wearing
the suit and why it doesn't fit him.
Yeah,
because I was just thinking throughout the movie, I was like, Joey Pantoliano talks about how, oh, you wouldn't be wearing this you don't wear this designer suit. You're not that guy. And I was thinking, well, that's weird. That suit doesn't look like it fits very well. Maybe I'm just not reading it as a designer suit because it's 90s. It's like a 90s cut.
Yeah.
And then later on you find out because it doesn't fit him because it's not his suit.
Yeah. I mean, see, I thought I was reading all of that. It's like, oh, well, you know, it used to fit him, but now he's lost all this weight because he's like a murdered man. He's like a creepy murder skinny guy.
Yeah, I thought it was just shitty 90s fashion
and then
suits.
We were both wrong. It was motivated by plot.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All along.
Oh, so good.
Let's do a quick overview of Memento. We'll do it off the cuff because it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
Memento is about Lenny. He has short-term memory loss. He forgets things he can't make new memories.
It's every 10 minutes his memory resets, basically.
Right, and he knows who he is. He knows what happened to him. His wife was
raped and murdered, and over the course of that, he walked in on the crime happening, and he got knocked in the head.
Yeah,
and as a result of that brain damage, he has this short-term memory loss.
Right. So, and he is now on this mission to find the man who raped and killed his wife. And what we learned, and he has this friend maybe named Teddy, who we think is his friend, but he doesn't really know because he has a Polaroid that he just takes Polaroid and stuff. He tattoos stuff in his body. It's all very cool as shit.
Yeah. The whole kind of framing device of the movie is that he has found all these kind of mechanical workarounds in order to be able to survive and exist without having memory beyond 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's all note based, and the most permanent notes that he can have are tattoos on his body.
Right.
The biggest of which is
John G. raped and
killed my wife, and then it says find him and kill him.
Right. So we find out that his wife actually survived the assault, and that but then his wife basically tricked him into killing her because she couldn't believe that he didn't have this disease, and she just kept getting him to give her her insulin shots.
Yeah.
And that he'd actually already killed. Spoilers. Already killed John G, and he just couldn't remember it. So his friend is actually this cop who is now using him because he's basically like the perfect killing machine. He has the righteous will to kill people.
Yeah,
and which can be directed at anyone at any time. Because the hardest thing about killing someone is you need to want to kill them.
Yeah,
right. Like it's not that hard to kill a man. If you like really, it's hard to get away with
careful, Josh.
But like, it's the scariest thing that like someone who has the will to murder against anybody and will feel justified for it,
and he has no memory of it, so he can't rat you out.
Exactly, and he would have he has no actual motivation for any of these people.
Yeah. So the whole movie. So those reveals are kind of in the third act of the movie, and Act 2 is kind of this whole noir mystery of him trying to put the pieces together to find the man who murdered his wife. And it's only really in the end that you find out in a couple. And also the movie is all set up in basically 10-minute chunks,
right?
Where you watch a 10-minute chunk and then it goes back in time 10 minutes and you see the chunk that came before that.
Right. Intercut with these black and white scenes of him talking in a motel room that ends up taking place right before the events of the movie.
And you really need that stuff because
it's him explaining all the backstory.
That's the only way you can really understand it all is because having these forward like actual sequential parts of it, and the way that they do another interesting way that color correction can tell a story. Is that all those scenes are in black and white, and that's how you know it's not the main timeline.
Right, which automatically makes it highbrow.
Yeah.
Right. It's a Casino Royale, highbrow movie.
Yeah, I shut off the movie for the black and white parts and then turned it back on.
You probably wouldn't be the only person.
Yeah.
People have like such a like visceral reaction.
I'm surprised. I'm not surprised by it every time, but I have to be reminded of it every once in a while.
And then 51st Dates is an Adam Sandler movie. So automatically lowbrow.
Yeah.
Except for the 3 that are highbrow.
Punch Drunk Love,
Uncut Gems.
Oh, Uncut Gems is so good.
And
Adam Sandler is so good when he is doing a highbrow movie. It's really crazy, which is a phenomenon I think actually happens a lot with comedians because Jim Carrey has some really good dramatic turns, like Truman Show. I've heard Kidding is very good.
Yeah, I mean Eternal Sunshine, obviously.
Eternal Sunshine's great.
Yeah, but then sometimes you get those comedians turning dramatic that are like not bad, but are not like the home run. Like Will Ferrell has a handful of pretty solid dramedies, but that are not like as revered as as Robin Williams being the gold standard. Although he was actually like an actor who did comedy acting and then went back into he kind of came at it from both ends.
Yeah, you kind of get into that trap where you see these wonderful performances by Sandler and others, and you're like, oh, these comedians, they can do it all. You just take a comedian and you put them in a drama movie, and it's going to be an automatic hit, and then you're like, oh no, some of these guys are just comedy guys, and that's fine. That's good.
Okay. And you know what? You got to give them their shot.
Yeah,
because you never know.
Yeah, you never know. That's why you shouldn't typecast. I mean, I understand. The thing is, casting it's kind of like interviewing for someone for a job. Sometimes you just go, I know that this guy can do the job because he's done a bunch of similar movies before.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel like that's the more practical reason why typecasting happens a lot is just you're like, I know he can probably do this job well because he has experience. And there are specific skills to doing specific types of movies. Like looking afraid and screaming and all this are horror skills.
Being, we were talking before we started recording. Mark Boone Jr., he's like the hotel clerk in Memento. He plays that guy, that just sort of like skeevy dude in like every freaking movie. And like it's a skill to be able to play that dude. And it's like a huge career for him. But maybe he could be a romantic lead. We don't know.
Maybe about a Hell's Angel who finds love.
I mean, I would unironically watch that movie.
Is he in Sons of Anarchy? He's got the
legally
vibe.
He has to be, right?
He's got to be, right?
I know he's in like Collateral, he's in like Domino, he's in Man on Fire, he's in like all these like sort of like digital shaky cam action movies from the mid-aughts. So I mean, that man was born on the back of a motorcycle. He must be in that movie. That show that I've not seen.
Sons of Anarchy, I enjoyed season 1. It's not my favorite show. It has a lot of really good really ardent fans.
Yeah. 51st Dates.
Right. So Adam Sandler is this.
He's a bit of a cad.
Yeah, he's a
kind of an odd casting for Sandler as like a ladies' man.
Yeah, he's a guy who lives in Oahu. He's a Marine. He's a vet at a water park. And he
as in he's a veterinarian for like walruses and shit.
Yeah, he did 2 tours at SeaWorld.
If he has a military history, it's not something the movie makes a meal of or references or acknowledges or has any hints of.
No, this movie is more interested in showing a walrus vomiting on somebody on a woman who they keep on calling a man, which it is the funniest joke in the world. It's not.
We really need to lead. That's like my big take on Okay, so let's get this plot out of the way.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have to keep going back to it. So
it's a case of Arrested Development. Adam Sandler is living on the island. He's kind of a pickup artist in a weird way.
Yeah, well, his whole thing is like, I'm the local who these women like sleep with, and then I lie to them about who I am so they don't have to feel bad about breaking. He's like, he'll be like, oh, there's actually a really good montage in the beginning of all these women telling the story of how they met this guy, and then the excuse of him, like he tells one that he was actually a secret agent and like escapes.
Yeah, and he runs onto a jet ski and then starts complaining about how he hit his balls.
Yeah.
But it was funny before that.
Really important point I need to make.
Jumping on a jet ski will hurt your balls?
No, in that montage of all of his exes, one of them is Kevin James. I just want to point out that this character is canonically bisexual, which is a huge step forward in representation in 2003.
That's maybe the most progressive part about this movie.
I think we as a culture are still very behind in like bi visibility, and like bi erasure is a very common like issue in like especially queer representations. And fucking Adam Sandler in this throwaway joke
we need
in 2003
prequel about him fucking Kevin James.
Did they just spin that off into a Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, a movie I haven't seen?
I don't want to see it. We might have to.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find a
Marriage.
way. Yeah, I don't want to watch that movie.
Rachel getting married versus I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
Anyway, he meets Drew Barrymore, who has short-term memory loss. Every day she resets, and her family has set up this whole lie. So she thinks it's the day of the car accident, so they just like they swap out the newspaper, and all of her friends act like it's that day. He starts dating her. He makes a video showing like how catching her up, and then she keeps a diary as well. So like
so actually morning, that's where it starts to intersect with Memento, is that they start using these tricks to remind her of what happened to her every time. Yeah,
so they have this first they have the courtship where every day he has to like find a new like pickup line with her, and then they have all the first dates.
Dodge her family who is trying to
like stop him. Right. And I think probably that's where some of the stuff hasn't aged well, because like I think him like manipulating a woman with brain damage is essentially what he's doing.
Yeah.
Although in the movie is so it's so cartoonish.
He's very
he's very wholesome.
Yeah, they don't sleep together for a long time, and they make kind of a point of having a discussion about whether it's okay.
Right.
And taking their time, which is, the minimal amount of effort to make that
work
acceptable.
Yeah. Anyway, so she backs off because she thinks she's holding him back, and then they get back together.
It's a classic rom-com plot.
Yeah. I mean, I will say two notes on that. One, her dad gives him like a CD that's like supposed to be a coded message, like, oh, it's this song that was their song, so she remembers him. Okay. Why not just tell him that she remembers him?
That's true, but him singing along to the song on the boat and crying and screaming I laughed a lot at that. That was maybe the funniest joke in the whole thing, when he just goes, oh, you got me a CD to remind me of how I love your daughter. Why would you do this?
I mean, Adam Sandler, as much shit as Adam Sandler gets for just like, oh, well, he just screams a lot, he's so funny when he's mad and screaming.
Hey, I love screaming.
And honestly, someone is sadly singing along to upbeat songs
always
works,
always
no
funny.
matter what.
Yeah.
And then I do think the line at the end where she reveals that she's been dreaming of him, and that every night, even though she doesn't like know him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you're the woman of my dreams, and I think I'm literally the man of yours. Great fucking line.
Right.
Great fucking line.
Oh yeah, true. And also, okay, we have to get now we're getting into how these movies intersect. So the way that he finds out, so they break up in the classic rom-com kind of end of Act 2 moment.
Yeah.
And then she goes to a kind of a facility where she's like an assisted living facility for people
in real life where she should be. It's like for people with brain damage, you like say it.
I think it's specifically for people with short-term memory loss.
Right.
I think they all have short-term memory loss.
They all have like memory
I guess there's a lot of people getting head injuries in Oahu, which makes sense.
Yeah. At the point, like, I mean, I don't know. If you're trying to sell me that Dan Aykroyd runs this clinic, I'll buy that it's in Hawaii. And also, who cares?
It's got Alan Covert as 10-second Tim,
which is a good joke.
Alan Covert's great.
I
used to see him on the Sony lot. He was a really nice guy.
I mean, I still really ride for Grandma's Boy, I think. I mean, I used to love watching it in college.
I need to see that again.
I hope it holds up like enough. Like if there's some stuff you cringe at, fine, but I hope I don't go back to Grandma's Boy and find out it's like Revenge of the Nerds bad. You know? I hope it's good. I like that movie.
Yeah. Also, I forgot. I was going to say the thing that makes these movies intersect is when she's at the Institute, Adam Sandler comes to see her, and the way that he finds out that they should get back together is that she's been painting him without knowing who he is.
Right. Because she dreams of him every night.
Right.
And then she paints him in the morning.
But that's an example of the kind of learned memory that they make such a big deal in Memento about the fact that he's not getting those.
Right.
He keeps on talking about, remember, what was the guy who's tattoos?
Sammy Jenkins.
Yeah.
Steve Tobolowsky.
Yeah.
Who we will sing the praises of as many episodes as we need to.
So he tells the story of this guy. He was an insurance adjuster, and he has a story about this guy, Sammy Jenkins, who had a similar condition. And his wife was basically convinced that she could train him to make new memories by just muscle memory, essentially.
Right. Well, yeah, right. And then it turns out it's Guy Pearce's character.
Yeah. It kind of also happened with Sammy because he was doing the test.
Well, no, Sammy didn't have a wife.
Oh, he didn't have a wife.
Right. Sam, like,
so that was all made up.
Yeah. Joey Pants explains that Sammy was just like a really shitty con man who he immediately saw through, and he was just like. Anyway,
this is gonna be the whole podcast of me just realizing I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we need to like back. We could spend the next 2 hours just describing the plot of these movies.
Okay, but they do talk about the idea of having these learned memories that are basically how muscle memory works by repetition. And in 51st Dates, they actually have that.
Right.
I guess it's just because these movies deal with such a specific topic that is that they have to intersect.
I mean, it sort of comes up in Finding Nemo. That like over time she learns to like associate, like be near Marlin because like she knows that he's like safe and like they're friends.
Yeah.
Even though she's like forgetting things.
Right.
Although I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know where you would rank Finding Nemo in like the accurate depictions of this. I guess
short-term memory loss.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder if there's a more technical term for it. We probably should have looked that up.
They reference it in Memento, like what it's called. It's like aggregate magnesia.
Oh, okay.
Amnesia.
Aggregate I take that every night before bed
because it's like not retrograde. It's like atrograde. It's just a grade of amnesia.
Sure.
So Memento was written by Christopher Nolan, based on the short story by Jonathan Nolan.
Yep. Just goes to show everyone's got a Donnie Wahlberg.
Although Jonathan Nolan obviously extraordinarily successful right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is Donnie. What are you saying about Donnie Wahlberg?
I name a project.
Wahlburgers.
A fiction project.
Okay, I have another. He's in. What's the one where they poop out the aliens? You know the one I'm talking about where they shit out the aliens.
I don't know.
Donnie Wahlberg plays Dutters, who's like a mentally challenged guy.
You're talking about Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher, yeah.
Yes.
He's in Dreamcatcher.
Memento was directed by Christopher Nolan. 51st Dates directed by Peter Segal, written by George Wing. And I was surprised. 51st Dates feels like kind of movie would have like a team of writers on it just for like the jokes, but I think it feels like it was
also
it feels like it was a spec that they just came on and then like added a bunch of like Sandler bits.
Yeah, I imagine Sandler ad-libs a lot.
Yeah. So here's my one take on 51st Dates.
You just got one? Okay.
My one like real like here's my read on the movie, and I'm pretty sure this is correct.
Yeah.
I think this movie is like a pretty good rom-com that's very sweet whenever Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore are on screen together.
Okay.
I think when they are not on screen together and it is just Adam Sandler, it's like a really, really tough to watch Adam Sandler.
And then when
movie.
Rob Schneider's on screen, it's a
fucking war crime. Because I mean,
Rob Schneider is doing
rough.
Oh my
God! It's not blackface, but he's playing a native Hawaiian.
It is a face.
It is a face.
It is a.
I don't know what color.
Yeah, it is some sort of colored face.
He's playing a native Hawaiian who is just like the shittiest dude and has the dumbest, shittiest jokes. And I pride myself as not coming down as hard on actors as you sometimes do.
Yeah.
But like, holy shit, this is like the worst fucking performance.
But this is
in a
also
movie,
on. This is on the director. It's probably
on Sandler.
On Adam Sandler.
It's on everyone who's on set. That
everyone
day
has
a
blood
moral
on their,
obligation. To
everyone has
say something.
blood on their hands for Rob Schneider's performance in this movie.
And like, so there's that. There's Sean Astin with his like.
Sean Astin's not great either.
I mean, it's just like a weird character that doesn't do anything.
Adding the lisp is a weird move that feels.
I mean, well, okay.
I don't know.
So I think that's the Sandler thing. Have you ever seen the movie That's My Boy? The Sandler and Sandberg movie? I won't say it's like amazing, but it's very, very crazy. And I think that like it would be like 20 times better, but Sandler is doing a very squeaky voice.
Okay.
And like, I think it just steps on the jokes. It's what happens in 51st Dates with Sean Astin's character with the lisp, with the assistant character, and the German assistant who is just all very problematic.
That's
jokes.
also just a bunch of fucked up jokes because they keep on saying that she's a man.
Right.
They don't say she's trans.
No, it's just like you're a manly woman, so therefore you are a man, or you're presented like you have a deep voice and you're intense in German.
And she's has I guess masculine features, but like that's fine. But it's kind of presented
real
as
rough.
that.
It's very. I think genuinely offensive and like
well, it's kind of like that 90s idea that just the idea that somebody could possibly be trans is hilarious,
right?
And it's gross, and that's bad, and we don't like that,
right? But again, whenever this movie is a romantic comedy with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore who have crazy chemistry together, it's very sweet, it's very funny,
and it brings up a lot of weird existential and like philosophical questions about the ethics of dating this woman. Yeah. Because the last scene in this movie is her picking up her child who she does not know exists, and that kid is like 2 or 3.
And in the movie, she references like, hey, one of the reasons we have to break up is if we ever have a kid, can you imagine me waking up pregnant? And we pick up on this movie.
And then they do it.
She has a kid.
That's crazy. It's so crazy.
It's so crazy. And it's literally my last note. I didn't even take that many notes. My last note is, how the fuck do they have a kid?
I don't. That kid has the strangest. I mean, that kid's living on a boat in Alaska for one thing, which is, I mean, whatever.
He doesn't have to go to school yet. He's like 2.
Sure.
Yeah. He's probably cold.
I think it's a girl, but yeah. So, whatever.
I don't know. I don't care. Go on.
Yeah, it's a kid. Whatever. That thing. But yeah, no, it's super duper crazy. That kid's gonna have the most fucked up just childhood experience because I don't know. It's fucking. I don't even know.
It's tough.
Like in the same way that Memento made me like sad and stressed out for like 2 hours afterwards. That one scene in 51st Dates gave me the same visceral reaction.
Yeah. I mean, it is nice that like their lives are moving on. Like that's the lowbrow, right? So the highbrow lowbrow of it is like Memento does not let you get away from all of the most troubling themes that can spin out of the concept. Whereas 51st Dates is trying to kind of sell you on they're gonna have this storybook-ish ending.
Yeah, but
it's gonna work.
I will give it credit. It does address a lot of those issues.
Yeah, head on.
Yeah, head on. It actually deals with the ethics of dating her, and it deals with the kind of the practicality of it, and what does it mean? Like really like the ethics of telling her that she's had this accident versus the ethics of not telling her she's had this accident. It's kind of a weird trolley problem. Yeah, because everything's a trolley problem.
Yeah,
it's my favorite thing. It's to call things trolley problems.
It's the joke by I forget which comedian that like everything's a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
even a single-edged sword is a double-edged sword because on the one hand you got an edge and on the other hand you don't.
Yeah,
yeah. I really wish I could remember which comedian did that. Not a Josh original. Okay. But no, you're right. It's like it's tough, and like the movie. To the movie's credit, I think there's a worse version of it that would have ended up with them solving the mystery and her getting better.
That's what I was thinking, because I think the biggest credit to the movie, I guess artistically, is that they don't cure her.
Right. I mean, and again, that's the highbrow lowbrow a little bit. That it's kind of just doing one thing of like. What would it be like to just date someone over and over again?
But that is highbrow. That is highbrow that they don't cure her, because the really feel good ending is that their love cures her disease.
Right. It's higher brow than it needs than you would expect.
It doesn't make the movie highbrow.
Right. Yeah. This is a movie where once again Rob Schneider is in.
Yeah.
The automatic lowbrow.
Rob Schneider's in. At one point, he is in drag with a mop on his head and a coconut bra.
Right.
And that's played as if it's the funniest thing in the world. Although I will say, the photos of like still images of that scene are kind of funny because he's just got a goofy face. He just looks insane. But the scene itself is horrible.
Right. He's just, I mean, God, and they even do a joke that like his wife is fat, and they do a whole fucking meal of that. God, and how he hates his wife.
They do a lot of jokes about that.
God, it's the worst.
He's kind of like Bradley Cooper in The Hangover.
Yeah, but like at least Bradley Cooper in The Hangover, like I talked about, like they kind of give him wrinkles on the character that you're like, okay, that's a little bit interesting. Even if you still think the character's bad.
He's like Bradley Cooper in The Hangover, but if the movie was on his side and they're like, yes, this guy is right, his life sucks.
Right, he was never taken to task for it. He had no redeeming quality. Like, man, fucking corruption. Anyway, this movie was so frustrating to watch because every time I got really into it, and I think Drew Barrymore is so good in this movie.
She's great. And I like Adam Sandler.
He's great.
I will say he's got that thing where he kind of just veers into Canteen Boy every once in a while with the voices, and the whole movie kind of veers into Canteen Boy.
Yeah. I know. I will say, I mean, so I know Sandler, everyone's like, oh, why does he do these dumb comedies when he should be doing these dramas? I think he likes doing comedies, and I don't think that makes him bad. Yeah.
And he doesn't produce or write any of those dramas himself. He doesn't generate them. So it makes sense that he wouldn't make a bunch.
Yeah. I will say, I do wish that his comedies were a little like better at this point. Like you see him, so 51st Dates is not known as his classic.
No.
But I think even in this, he's still like really dialed in. Like there's still he has a lot of really funny jokes, more when he's just being kind of like a normal human man and not when he's interacting with Rob Schneider.
I would say this feels like it is the beginning of Vacation Sandler.
I think this is the beginning
which is
of Vacation
his movies
Sandler.
where it's basically an excuse to take the Happy Madison crew to a cool location.
Right. You have like Just Go With It, where I think they go to Hawaii again.
Yeah.
Blended, they go to Africa. Yeah, the whole thing is like, let's go to a place.
And honestly, that's a great.
I don't hate the hustle at all.
That's not a bad idea.
No, 100% appreciate it.
The one thing I really, really appreciate about there's a couple things I really appreciate about Sandler. Yeah. He's a good comedian. He's funny.
He's funny, man.
He's not always funny, but he has the capability of being very, very, very funny.
Yeah, over the course of like a 30-something year career, there's some really good shit in there, no doubt.
And the other thing I really appreciate about Adam Sandler is his absolute dedication to his boys. Like,
oh yeah,
he has it's Alan Covert. It's the
the guy, the security guard at the front. All the little bit parts in the facility.
Yeah,
I mean Schneider is one of his boys.
Yeah.
I mean the whole Grown Ups franchise. I don't know how many.
David Spade.
Yeah, David Spade. I mean, well, Chris Rock doesn't need him, but they're friends.
Yeah, so he's got all these guys who he basically came up with as a comedian, as I understand, and he just keeps them in his stable, and he keeps these guys working, and he brings them on cool shoots in Hawaii, and I love that because it's just nice to see people being supportive of each other.
Yeah, and it's not like he's like forcing them into their own movies or like he literally just I'm going to start a movie, I'm going to produce a movie, and my boys are going to be in that movie.
Yeah, it's not like he derailed Alan Covert's career or he derailed Spade's career. Yeah. They were doing what they were doing, and they probably get more work because of him, and it's great.
Exactly. 50 First Dates. I remembered it more fondly.
The other thing I love about Adam Sandler is just his absolute dedication to wearing leisure wear all the time. He will wear gym shorts to a red carpet premiere.
I noticed that in this movie too, because he's also not really wearing like he has such like Midwestern dad energy on vacation, even though he's supposed to be a man who like lived and has grown up in Oahu.
Yeah, and a man who's supposed to be suave and attractive to weird, and he's just wearing
giant t-shirts. Even though he's not a giant man.
No, he needs room. He needs room to breathe.
Yeah, this is like skinny, like attractive Sandler.
Yeah, he's just wearing giant polos and giant shorts.
Beach shorts, yeah. And meanwhile, like they're putting Drew Barrymore in like a lot of really like complex costumes. Like she's just wearing like a kimono top in one scene just for no reason.
Oh yeah.
And I mean that
was like her serious outfit. That was like she's getting her shit together, being a teacher outfit.
Yeah. I don't know. Sandler's like, we don't like have to reckon with Sandler because it's not like he's like this. I mean, he's just been a part of it. He was the funniest person who you'd ever seen in your life when you saw Billy Madison and you were 8. Like just full stop.
Yeah.
And now he's just sort of been around it. I feel like there was like a dip where everyone hated him because he hadn't like grown as a comedian, like
because he is still kind of that.
Right, but he's just sort of his thing, and like it's just sort of weird to go back and watch one of these. You know, like one of the ones you don't think. Like I wonder what like Zohan would be like to go back.
I don't think Zohan's going to go great.
Or Little Nicky was probably one that really doesn't hold up.
You think Little Nicky would hold up less than Zohan? I feel like Zohan would be legit problematic.
I think
Little Nicky is just making fun of devils and stuff, but I don't know.
I spend a little more time on Twitter than you do, and there are some Zohan defenders on there who think it's just like very funny. Like who not like they like sure it's probably problematic.
Okay.
But like and also the theme of the movie is like trying to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Like he
took his hack at it.
Yeah. And you know what? No one else has solved it either.
Christopher Nolan never tried to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, so Sandler's got that on him.
He might as well try. It's not like anyone else is doing anything
Christopher
particularly
Nolan,
helpful right now.
Why aren't you trying to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict via film? Adam Sandler's doing it.
Man. Okay, cool. Let's pivot to Christopher Nolan because while we're talking about people who've defined the last decades of film, I mean Sandler's up there in his weird little way.
Yeah,
Christopher Nolan.
All the Sandler fans graduated and became Nolan fans. They grew up and they found out about serious movies.
Well, we talk a lot about film bros on this podcast, and like Memento is like a film bro classic. Like,
which is doubt. Again, I mean, we're discovering that these film bro classics are quite more complex. Well, they're often good, and they're more complex than you would think for a film bro classic.
Yeah,
yeah.
And like so, doing the highbrow lowbrow of it. I mean, it's weird because it feels like like 50 First Dates like it's like one gimmick of what would this idea do to a rom-com, and it's a top straight up rom-com.
Yeah.
And whereas like Memento, you're coming at it from like how do we really evoke like the existential terror of everything that this idea connotates.
Well, yeah, because I think the key difference is that 50 First Dates is from the perspective of somebody who's trying to date
Outside
the person,
looking in.
and then Memento is from that person's perspective.
Yeah,
because basically, I mean, 50 First Dates is kind of like if Memento was from Carrie Fisher's perspective. Not Carrie Fisher, Carrie Ann Moss's perspective. Carrie Fisher is just doing whatever her own thing is. It's not about anything to do with this.
From Carrie Fisher's perspective, she's just like picks up the newspaper one day. It's like, oh, there's another murder in Northern California. That's weird. And then she goes on being a successful script doctor, I guess, that's what she was doing in her career at that time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Carrie Fisher fucking rules.
Yeah.
So interesting you bring up that, like, from how it's from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a movie called Vengeance. It's a film directed by Johnny To, who is a Hong Kong filmmaker. I adore and have spoken of at length.
What was the movie we watched of his?
The Mission. The one who's like early.
Very
film.
fun movie.
Yeah. So Vengeance is it's about this man with short-term memory loss.
It's
going
shockingly common in film, but continue.
Although it's not, it's like degrading in him. So it's not like he resets every 10 minutes. It's just like it's starting to get shorter and shorter where he like doesn't know where he is.
Okay.
But his daughter and his son-in-law were killed, and he has to go to Hong Kong to get their killers. But he's starting to forget why he's there.
Oh, that's good.
Right. So it's this idea of it's a similar idea to Memento of like, does this vengeance matter if you can't really remember it? But like that's all it reckons with. It really is just like he's running out, and like it just like he runs into some hitmen, and the hitmen are like, I think we gotta help this guy. Like, I don't know if it's gonna matter, but sometimes whether it matters or not, you just have to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting that like coming in from that outside angle is like even viable, you know?
I mean, it's certainly easier to depict.
Yes. Yeah. You don't have to tell the story backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is hard.
I mean, yeah. If you told this story from top to bottom, like a traditional movie, I mean, you would just have to write a different story because it wouldn't be a mystery anymore.
Well,
right?
the DVD from Memento has the forward version.
Have you ever watched it?
I have not. I've heard it's pretty boring.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, because if you've seen the movie already, then you know where it's going. Like, I wonder what it would be like to show someone the forward version and they've never seen the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But then you have to sacrifice that person's enjoyment of Memento forever. Like, then it's a trolley problem.
They're going to have to take it for our sins.
You have to find someone who just doesn't like movies. Just someone who's just like, I think movies are dumb. And
if you don't like movies, please contact us at hblbpodcast at
gmail.com.
Yeah, and or on Instagram at hblbpodcast.
Or leave a 5-star review.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan. Thing I want to point out about Memento, well directed.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan, good at directing.
Good. Looks good.
Yeah. And it's a movie that like doesn't need to look good. Like, I think it's got a lot of character to it in the setting. It's like that. Those
what do you mean doesn't need to look good?
Like, I think a lot of like these kind of thrillers, these kind of like indie budget, low budget thrillers are all shot. It's all very dim. It's all very dark. There's not a lot of color to it.
Not a lot of style to it.
Right. It's not like very crisp. It's all like shaky cam up close, like, which is a style. But like, I feel like with Memento, very well photographed, very well filmed, like just on like the craft level, and like there's color to it. It's like the setting is kind of interesting. Everything's like pretty.
They're in LA, right?
It's filmed in LA. Yeah, I think they mentioned that he used to live in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I think they're just coding it as he's just in like a bumfuck town in northern. There's a lot of very small towns all around California.
Yeah, that makes sense because of the way that he keeps on running into people.
Right.
It would be impossible to navigate a full city in his condition.
You have to put him in a little baby city.
Because at one point he has his map with the Polaroids all over it, where he has a hand-drawn map of the city. And if that was LA, can you fucking imagine?
We have like apps now, and I can still barely manage to go anywhere.
He just got stuck in the Century City parking lot for 3 days.
He parked at the Galleria and lost his car.
I feel like I am Lenny when I'm in the Century City parking lot. I've always lost my car every time. If you don't live in LA, it's a mall in LA. It's got a giant ass parking lot. I always lose my car there. It's the most secure location in the world. We should keep the nuclear codes in that parking lot. If it was if the movie Taken was happening and he's like on the phone, he's like, "We have your daughter." He's like, "Oh, I'm going to get you. I have certain skills." They're like, "We have her in the Century City parking lot." He's like, "All right, whatever. She's dead. I'll have another daughter. It's fine."
God, yeah. Yes. Small town. I don't know. Fuck. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the Century City parking lot.
God, Century City parking lot is so fucking hard to find your car.
We could do an entire episode. Okay, highbrow, lowbrow, LA malls. So Century City, you got your fancy mall, and then we do like Fox Hills Mall for the lowbrow.
Right. We do Westfield for Century City, Westfield, like Ventura or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. If we're going to the fanciness tiers of West Side malls, you got Century City at your peak. Then you got West Side Pavilion in the middle, which is kind of why
not even a mall anymore.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't exist, because it's middlebrow. It's a middlebrow mall. It was just a mall. Like
it was a mall. Yeah. When it existed, it was just a mall.
But in like the 80s, 90s sense of it's an enclosed building, couple floors. Yeah. It doesn't have a gimmick to it.
Famously featured in Clueless, right? They go to the pavilion in Clueless.
Probably.
I think so. I've only seen Clueless once.
Yeah, that makes it. Did it have like the arch ceiling with the windows?
No, I mean I think they specifically mentioned they're going to the pavilion.
Okay.
I think. Anyway, okay.
So
the tier of the malls,
and then the lower tier is Fox Hills Mall,
right?
That's actually the mall. The last scene in Superbad is there when they're going down the escalator.
Oh yeah,
that's at Fox Hills Mall, which it's not called that anymore. That's just what it was called when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that's our highbrow, lowbrow, West Side, the West Side LA mall power rankings.
All right, how about this? If this thing takes all, let's say if we get like at 10,000 listens on a single episode, we'll do an episode of just going to malls.
On a single episode?
Yeah. That's like, I'm trying to put a pretty high bar because I don't want to have to wander around a mall for like 2 hours and then do a fucking podcast about it.
I don't know. That sounds kind of fun.
I mean, it sounds fun having 10,000 listeners.
Yeah. Being successful sounds great, Josh.
If you know 999 people.
If you know 999 people, tell them about it. Whatever.
Yeah, honestly, if you know 7 people.
There's no low threshold for this. If you have one friend, tell them about our fucking podcast.
If you have one friend, get another friend.
Yeah. Oh,
friends are good.
Yeah.
Friends are good.
Person who doesn't have very many friends, Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny has
zero friends, no new friends.
He's got Teddy, who is manipulating him,
not a friend,
and he's got Natalie, who is manipulating him.
Manipulating him 5 minutes after meeting him
immediately.
So that's the crazy part about the movie that we were talking about before we started recording is that you expect her. So Natalie is Carrie-Anne Moss. She's
the femme fatale, basically.
Yeah, she's this woman who's he kills a man for her, and then you find out that she manipulated him into killing him because it was her ex-boyfriend who was a drug dealer.
Right, and he killed her ex-boyfriend. He killed her boyfriend.
Right.
Who was the drug dealer, and then his associates were coming after her, and she manipulated him into killing the associates.
Right.
And it turned them against Teddy because Teddy set up her boyfriend to be killed. But also, Guy Pearce set himself up to kill Teddy.
Right.
Lenny being Guy Pearce. Who's great, by the way.
Yeah, it was very good. Very good actor. Yeah. So you see the two chunks, the 2 10-minute sequences where you're first introduced to Carrie-Anne Moss as Natalie. And you assume they've known each other for a while or have been dating for a while, and they met that day. It's crazy.
The whole movie takes place in like a day.
She's just, I guess there's certain people who they have the gift of being able to see when they can manipulate a person on site and just get into it.
And it is a heightened movie. Like it's more realistic than 50 First Dates. I mean, 50 First Dates has a trained walrus who can understand English.
I think that walruses can't understand English. I think you can train a walrus.
I think sorry, the trained walrus that can understand English. It's really that second clause.
What a fanciful movie where you can have a trained walrus. Next they'll have trained whales.
They definitely don't. Hold on. This walrus communicates to Adam Sandler that his ex walrus is sleeping with 2 different other walruses,
and then like 4 other walruses,
and all the walruses high five because they're fucking each other. That is less realistic than Memento, but Memento is also in like a heightened reality. It's like a very noir, very like seedy Jim Thompson-esque. But so like a character who has that like gift of manipulation instantly. Yeah, maybe is a stretch, but like a highbrow movie writes its rules, you know. Yeah, and like you're on board when it's good.
I mean, a lowbrow movie writes its rules, and that walruses can have complex relationships with one another that they impart on their veterinarian. And then they try to help that veterinarian get laid. Oh no, he tries to stop him from getting laid.
No. The walrus helps. Oh right, no, he's like training.
He's telling the walrus to nod because she oh my god, Drew Barrymore asks the walrus if she should have sex with Adam Sandler,
and the walrus like hesitates.
And Adam Sandler tells the walrus to nod its head, and the walrus is nodding, and then she's like, "Should I bang him right now?" And Adam Sandler was like trying to get the walrus to nod his head, and the walrus won't do it because he has morals.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he's
a walrus,
banging all the also that, yeah.
Walruses don't have morals. Animals don't have morals.
That's what makes them animals.
Right.
If they had morals, they'd be people.
Right. Which a theme of Memento is like, what makes us human?
Do people have morals?
Right. Like, what is? There's this amazing thing. The craziest lowbrow to highbrow pivot I've ever made here, going from walrus fucking to like the big theme of Memento. But it's this thing of how he has to like actively pretend to be human every time.
Oh yeah, he has to. Well, it's kind of that same thing when you I do this all the time because I'm really bad with names and stuff.
Yeah.
When somebody at work who you've kind of interacted with starts talking to you and you have to pretend like you remember who they are.
Right.
But he has to do that with every single person ever all the time.
Right. And it just sort of this, it made this question of like I don't know, like if you had to actively think about all of your interactions with people to like not give things away and pretend that you are like a person who knows people, like how would you do that?
Yeah.
And what are just like the surface level micro facial like bullshits that like make you not a psychopath?
Yeah.
You know?
And you have to actively think about whether people are manipulating you all the time, which I guess sometimes you have to if you're in, I don't know.
If you have bad friends.
Yeah. Or if you're in The Departed or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if you live in, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a place I just
Reno.
like. Yeah, if you live in fucking Reno. If you live in Reno and are mad at that joke, leave us a 5-star review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, when's our Reno episode happening? How many Reno movies are there?
There's Reno 911 the movie.
Oh.
But I think they go to Miami, so I don't think it's a Reno movie.
So the Miami movies episode would be Reno 911 and Miami Vice.
Right. And then the Reno, I think there's a sequence in Hard 8 where they go to Reno. I think it starts in Reno and then they go to Vegas later.
Oh, maybe.
Hard 8's a really fucking good movie.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Oh, it's Paul Thomas Anderson's first movie.
Love it.
Great.
He's what a wonderful director. Still need to see Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Highbrow, lowbrow movies about pizza. Licorice Pizza, Mystic Pizza. Is Mystic Pizza lowbrow? I don't know.
So.
I don't know what Mystic Pizza's about.
Or 30 Minutes or Less.
Oh yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pizza movies. What was I talking about? I was talking about a highbrow thing. It was Memento.
Sure.
Because that's the highbrow.
I can run the tape back, but I have no idea what you were talking about.
No, just the themes of the movie. I think like they're very complex and very troubling. Like what makes us human, like what decisions you have to make when you're like just actually pretending to be normal.
And just does anything you do matter?
Right. Yeah. Just like
ever.
What is the value of anything if you don't remember it? And how much do you forget and how much of your memories you just create?
Yeah. And they talk about that, how just he uses it to justify why his condition isn't that big a deal to Joe Pantoliano, which is that he says that eyewitness testimony is inherently flawed. It is often wrong. People remember things wrong all the time.
Yeah.
So you might as well just not have a memory at all. And he's kind of right.
Yeah.
But functionally, it seems very more.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing, because I have a funny story to tell about that, is just the unreliability of like images, which is basically how like film is built on. James Chambers.
You mean like the fact that the fact there's a bunch of still frames that you see as a moving image.
But so James Chambers, the founder of like Focus Features, he came to my college once to teach a class, a film class on the theory of montage, which basically Eisenstein. We're getting very fancy here, but Sergei Eisenstein, director of like Battleship Potemkin, the Russian filmmaker, his big theory of montage, is like how film creates meaning, is two images set against each other. A single image has no meaning because you can impart any meaning onto it, right?
Yeah.
Like
that's the concept of narrative.
Right. Yeah. So like a man holding a gun that could tell a story, but then it's like man holds gun made of chocolate as a protest against guns, or man is about to shoot someone. You know, like an image means something, but if you juxtapose against another image, it's, thesis.
Is man holds gun made of chocolate an example he gave, or is that something you just came up with?
No, the example he gave was the image of the children who had been napalmed in Vietnam. I didn't want to get dark with it.
Yeah.
But then
versus the children who got covered in chocolate in Vietnam.
So the funny story is we had a student in the class who like argued with him, and I wanted to
I hate that one guy.
I wanted to yell at him. I was like, God damn it, man! Why are you arguing that Eisenstein was wrong with James Chambers? He's so smart. He's smarter than you. You're 19. I know you're 19.
I have my thing like that where I was in a visual arts class that was like, it was like a discussion class with only like 10 people, and there's the one guy who every time we talked about a piece of art, he had to argue about whether it was art or not. I'm like, man, we are talking
so past this.
We are talking about like an Andy Warhol, or it was like a performance art piece from the 60s. Like, we have canonically decided this is art.
Yeah.
We do not. They had this conversation.
A lot of smart people worked on it for 40 years and decided it is, so that we could skip past it and have this conversation. Yeah. God damn it, Dave.
Yeah. Okay, so what your doofus do?
Well, that was it. He was basically like, oh, well, obviously an image have meaning, like that. And he was the one who actually brought up the Vietnam image.
Okay.
And then like Seamus brought it up. Like put up there. It's like, and he was like, oh, that image obviously has meaning because that's him like, that's like them like children running away from like napalm or whatever. And he's like, well, that's because the caption says that. If you did not know any other info, that could be like children are screaming in joy that they are saved from napalm or something.
Yeah.
And basically that an image has no meaning, but if you as you montage it with other images, it creates meaning, and you have to impart meaning onto images, which is everything.
That's the whole problem with Reddit.
Is doing.
That's the whole problem with Reddit in a nutshell, is that images have no meaning and people put the wrong captions on them all the time.
And the plot of Memento is about someone putting the wrong caption on an image.
It really is.
Yeah, because it's Polaroid.
Yeah, yeah. Because the biggest kind of turning, or the biggest point in the end of the movie is when he writes, "Do not trust this man. Do not trust his lies" on the picture of Teddy.
Yeah,
Joe Pantoliano.
Right, which sets off everything.
And it's funny because it's not. He doesn't write "kill this guy."
Right.
He doesn't write "he's the one." I mean, he later writes he's the one, kill him. But the seed moment is he just writes, don't trust him.
Right.
And that goes, and all the way down, it means that he never believes anything he says, and it leads him down this path of eventually killing him. And it's crazy that it's not, he just brought the idea of not trusting him.
And that was enough.
Yeah.
And like to counterpoint it, that he has his image of Natalie, of Carrie Ann Moss's character, he writes, she has also lost someone. She will help you out of pity. Which is, the first part's true. The second part is not. She's helping you because she's manipulating.
He got a little too editorial on that one.
Right. And but it's like this image of her like looking sad, looking out the window. And you think it's like that combined with the caption is like, oh, she's this like sad, soulful person. But that image, she's just like leaving to go do some manipulative shit.
Yeah.
Like that's not what's happening there.
All right. So the moment that 50 First Dates does the exact same thing is when they go through Drew Barrymore's diary and take out all the references to Adam Sandler in order to basically scrub him from her history.
Which is quite dark.
It's very dark, and they're doing it together, which is even, like, I think the less artful move would be if she just got angry at him and tore out the pages and forgot about it.
It's
but
very sweet.
They do it as a decision together as a couple.
Yeah. I mean, I think the movie is weirdly, really good about giving her agency in this whole situation. I mean, her creating the diary in general is a really smart move to have her take control of how she wants the narrative to go so it's not as manipulative from his part.
Yeah, because it starts off, he makes a tape for her that explains it every morning. And then she spends 2 hours crying afterwards every day, which is insane.
Right.
But then, she makes her own diary, and she has the nice line where she says, the tape is like you telling me what happened to me, but the diary is like me telling myself what happened to me, which is actually a very meaningful, kind of beautiful piece of dialogue in this movie that has Rob Schneider committing hate crimes.
Right. Constant micro hate crimes every second.
And some macro hate crimes.
And some medium hate crimes.
There's some macro aggression in this movie.
There's some aggressive aggression in this movie. And it's funny because that thing of her, like, this is the story, I tell to me, is like, it kind of reminds me of a different Jonathan Nolan project, Westworld. Which is that, like, because the whole plot of Westworld.
He did Westworld.
Right. Yeah. Him and Lisa Joy were the co-creators of Westworld. And like and the whole plot of the season 1 of Westworld is like, sentience is you telling yourself a story about yourself, basically.
Yeah. And hinges on a photo breaking someone's brain.
Yeah, God, fucking did Jonathan Nolan watch, like, he did Memento and he was like, all right, I've done it, I've finished it, I've done the canonical work on memory, and then he saw 50 First Dates and he's like, fuck, I gotta top this. And he started developing Westworld.
He just pushed the goddamn envelope.
If you are Jonathan Nolan, leave us a 5-star review and let us know.
I would love to get Jonathan Nolan in a room with either Adam Sandler or the writer of the movie. Probably the writer of the movie.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I unironically think that'd be very interesting.
I actually do. Well, because they must have spent a lot of time thinking about the same things and coming to wildly different conclusions.
We're basically pitching our podcast, except bringing in the writers.
Oh, bringing in famous people? Yeah.
Which would be cool as shit.
I mean, that'd be great for us because we could just set up the microphones and then put famous, eloquent people in front of them.
Hey, Jonah Nolan, this is my friend Cooper's apartment. This is his bedroom. I have a seat right here.
Yeah.
Hi, writer of 50 First Dates, George Wing.
Don't tell him we're in my bedroom. This is a studio. Come into the studio.
Don't mind the bed.
Yeah, it's for sound dampening.
The
best way to dampen sound is with a queen size bed. All professional studios have a full queen size bed with sheets and pillows on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Other things in 50 First Dates.
You can't prove me wrong. You've never been to a studio.
I've never a recording studio.
Oh shit, you have.
Yeah, I worked on an animated movie for almost 2 years.
Whatever, man.
I went every multiple times a week.
You didn't record in it.
I did. Sometimes they had me like test the levels.
Oh, that's fun.
And I recorded scratch voices like in the office, like for the storyboard version of the movie.
Fun. I didn't know you did that.
They eventually stopped asking me to do that because my voice. I don't emote. So they tried casting me as like background characters and they're like, this is unusable because it's just distractingly not emotive. And then they cast me as a PA system. of just like someone saying like run away, it's an alarm, and they're like, this is too distracting. Even you're more robotic than we want a PA system to sound. And they were just like, all right, we're not going to ask Josh to do this anymore.
They like write in a robot character. It's like, it's the only thing he can do. We're not going to hire somebody else.
And the thing is, I wasn't doing the thing where you do a job bad so they stop asking you. I enjoy doing it. I just can't act, apparently.
It's funny because in juxtaposition, when we first recorded the first couple of this episodes of this podcast, in the lost episodes, my levels are super messed up because they didn't have like the distance right from the mic, and you just had this buttery smooth voice right from the beginning. And I was showing it to my dad, who knows more about audio than both of us because he did it professionally, and he was just like, yeah, Josh sounds great. Unprompted, I didn't even ask him.
Thing I liked in Fate's First Dates, Maya Rudolph.
Oh yeah, she was in it for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think pre SNL or like very early SNL.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Oh, and Missy Pyle is really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's actually a really fun scene.
Yeah, I like Missy Pyle a lot. She's really funny.
That's like a good comedy scene that like would work if it's not an Adam Sandler movie. Like that could have been like, I don't know, like Josh Lucas, like just like some like leading man, like rom-com leading man, that still would have worked. Where he's just like, yeah, there's nothing in that giant drink you're drinking. Like there's no alcohol in that drink.
Have to pee a lot.
Yeah, it's like you're just want to pretend you're drunk because you want to have like no strings attached sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess the scene's not that complex, but Missy Pyle is a really good comedic actress.
Oh yeah, and she's been in a couple of Sandler movies, I feel like.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it feels like she would fit in there. Just
should I look it up?
Yes.
All right.
Do it. Well, I'll just talk about other things like
riff, Josh.
I'm riffing.
Riff better.
I'm riffing. Well, okay. Well, here's my complaint with 50 First Dates again is that scene is very good and well written, and then it ends with them making horrible, borderline transphobic jokes because he
he tries to get her to have sex with a woman he keeps on calling a man.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the movie in a nutshell.
Man.
It's like a very good, well written, sweet. I mean, it's like a gentleman's B+ of a lowbrow rom-com that's just like hamstrung by these like just real rough, real bad jokes.
Those jokes annoy me so much because it's not a joke. It's just there's no punchline. It's just
mean and cruel.
It's the joke is the idea that a trans person is so inherently crazy and funny that you can just mention them and that's the joke. And that's not how a joke works. You need to have a take and a setup and a punchline. You can't just mention something. And also, fuck that. Like,
yeah, it's mean and cruel and evil.
It's also bad.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's yeah. 90s comedies are so bad about that. It's so. I
know. It's like
it makes it hard to watch a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's that inflection point of like the trans visibility was just starting to happen, but like well before anyone was anywhere decent about it. And it's just real. Like I mean, we talked about how Ace Ventura is just like.
I was just about to bring up how Ace Ventura is actually a hate crime. It's a really hilarious, great comedy, and then Act 3 is a actual hate crime.
Did you discover anything about Missy Pyle?
She's been in so many movies.
I know.
It's really great. It's kind of just she's been doing a lot of TV lately. She was on Mom and she was on Another Period. Another Period is super funny. She's on Why the Last Man.
Oh, that's great. I've heard that show's really good.
Yeah, I watched the first episode and it was fun. I just didn't really get into it.
Yeah, I was always putting off watching it just because I love the comic so much that it was one of those things like I just felt like I was going to come in with the bad like just like being disappointed no matter what,
Yeah. Honestly, I'm sure she's been in another Sandler movie. I'm not sure, but there's a good chance she's been in another Sandler movie. She's worked too much in the last several decades for me to find it. To Missy Pyle's credit, she's great.
Yeah. Let's talk about actors.
Okay, actor talk. Yeah, fuck Rob Schneider.
Just okay, real quick.
Well, not okay in this movie.
In this, yeah. I mean,
I remember thinking the hot chick was funny when it came out. I can't imagine it holds up.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably not only not funny, but probably pretty problematic.
I think the best thing we got out of, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to rip on Schneider because it's not like he's like a huge.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Schneider as a guy.
Fine guy. Yeah.
In this movie, I have it, but again, like he didn't write the character or direct the movie.
Let's still give him.
He did take the role though.
Yeah, he did take the role, and that was his. I mean, he deserves some hatred for it. Yeah, for sure.
He's a partial architect of this character.
Yeah, no, he's pretty bad. I mean, Sean Astin, I think it's not like offensive in any way. It just seems it's just
tickling the edges of being offensive. Like it feels like he's going to be kind of a gay stereotype with the lisp, but then he's not. And then it's like a dumb commentary on like roids and juicing.
But he's not particularly muscular in the movie.
That's kind of funny.
But they don't really make a meal of that.
But they're making the roids jokes, but the roids jokes mostly center around him either the classic small balls joke, or it's just like weird dick jokes with the roids. It's not that funny.
Yeah, and like honestly,
there's funnier stuff about roids.
Yeah, and like if they keep like seeing good scenes grind to a halt, so they can let him get that stuff.
And I think it would be helped so much if he just didn't have the accent.
Yeah, the lisp, it steps on the joke. I think Sean Astin is, I think, an incredible actor. Yeah. Obviously, as Sam in Lord of the Rings, he's great. I love him in Stranger Things more recently.
Right.
But yeah, man. Okay, good actors.
The dad is good.
The dad is good.
I don't know the actor's name.
He's been in a lot of. I mean, he's just a lot of TV, a lot of character actor stuff. Mm-hmm. We already mentioned, but Drew Barrymore, I think, is like
she's
so
great.
freaking charming.
Sparkling ray of sunshine.
Yeah, I want her to come back. Like I watched 4 seasons.
She's got a talk show now. I don't think she's coming back.
I want her to come back. I watched 4 seasons of Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh yeah,
mostly because I just thought she was just so charming. And she's great.
You know who I do like is the cook at the restaurant they go to.
Oh, he was fun.
The guy with the tattoo on his face.
Yeah, who just kept putting like Reese's on his eggs or something.
Well, yeah,
he kept referencing.
Yeah, he kept on referencing it. And he did that thing that people do is when they know one fact about you, they just constantly refer to it to try to relate to you. He just refers to him as Reese's guy forever,
which is like sweet in a way that's often frustrating.
Yeah, that's a really funny show joke from the show I'm Sorry, which is that is it Andrea Savage? Her neighbor across the street keeps on wearing shorts outside when it's cold. And she mentions it one time, and then every single other time she goes to her car, he's like, "Yeah, I'm wearing shorts again," until she just gets so annoyed by it and loses it at him, and then he gets very upset, won't talk to her anymore. That show's really good. I should say that for my rec.
Maybe you can still do it.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's no
maybe
rules.
They'll forget.
Nothing matters.
Yeah. This is all going to reset in 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then I guess pivoting to, I don't know that anyone else is in 51st. I mean, all the little guys, Aykroyd's good, Covert's good.
Yeah.
Whoever the guy who discovers he's bad at painting and as he's painting,
that was pretty
great.
funny. Yeah.
And then, Memento is just like great performances.
Yeah, Joe Pantoliano, very good. Yeah. Carrie-Anne Moss, very good. She's got, I don't know, it's an interesting, she has a really hard prompt as an actress where she has to kind of turn on a dime on this guy and make it feel believable that she's doing that. And I'm not sure if I'm 100% sold. I guess in that scene, she's trying to prompt him to hit her.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Guy Pearce is really, really good in this.
He's such a great actor.
Yeah.
I love LA Confidential, maybe one of my favorite movies. He's so good in that.
Yeah. And I feel like I haven't seen him in a minute, but I'm sure he's in stuff. I'll type it in.
This is gonna be this is where I would say that he's on Billions.
There's no way. I want to fucking hit something if he's on Billions. I don't think he's on Billions.
Yeah.
I don't think he has been in things. He's been in a lot of movies I haven't heard of. Something called Jack Irish. Actually, shit, what has he been doing? He was in Mayor of Easttown. There you go.
I heard that's good.
Yeah. He was in the Christmas Carol TV show. He just does a lot of TV and a couple of movies here and there. I don't know. He's had an excellent, successful career.
Speaking of actors, the wife is one of the main characters in the original CSI.
Oh, really?
And it just reminded me of, oh man, remember when CSI just broke the world? It's like CSI. Well, it was like the first. I just remember it came out when we were kids, and it was just like mind bending how violent it was, and the whole sciencey is like.
CSI. No, NCIS is where it's like the cute goth girls in the lab, right? Is that NCIS?
Yeah, or Colonel Mines.
I don't know.
Colonel Mines might also have that.
That was the thing that really fucked with Middle America. I feel like that was the first time they saw goths.
Yeah,
like, jeez.
CSI also introduced America to furries.
Really?
Yeah, there's an episode pretty early on in season 1 where a furry gets murdered, and they're explaining what furries are, and everyone was like, "What are you talking about?"
There's that thing of like the SVU where like they're always inventing these weird little like they call it schmurgadirk because when like kids do this gross thing, and then it's like the sex murders.
Yeah, that's like the cheesing thing from South Park.
Yeah,
it's called cheesing because it's fun to do. But then maybe that all started with yiffing and the furries, which is an actual thing.
Last bit of actor talk. We already mentioned him, the man, the myth, the Tobolowsky, Stephen Tobolowsky, so Sammy Jenkins, all-time great character actor.
Yeah,
brought up on the show before.
He's funny, he's dramatic, he's everything,
and he has to do a lot in this. He's basically doing the Guy Pearce performance in miniature, but sometimes played for laugh, but sometimes like the saddest thing.
Yeah,
and he's fucking great.
He's really good.
Yeah. So doing the highbrow lowbrow of it all. A scene I really liked in 51st Dates was when I think it's after they sleep together, or they just fall asleep together.
No, he just spends the night because they have their really long day-long date that's very romantic, and he just they're in bed and he's saying don't fall asleep.
Right.
Because she resets at night, which is convenient, but it's a good mechanic for the movie.
Yeah, highbrow lowbrow. And Yeah, and she wakes up and she's like terrified.
She just starts screaming at him and throwing shit at him.
Yeah,
which is perfect because that's what you expect to happen. And you're like, maybe the movie figures out a way around that, and she just loses her shit.
And like and I think that's something the movie does really well in general is it lets Drew Barrymore always get the best joke in every scene. Like he is always Sandler doing some crazy manipulative thing, and then she'll like match it and go beyond. Like the scene where he either like, oh, have Rob Schneider kick the crap out of me, and she'll come to my rescue, and then you can run away. And she chases him down with a golf club and is like savagely beating him.
Well, yeah, that is one thing I like about the movie is that she is not always charmed by him.
Right.
Most of the time,
sometimes the lines don't work.
Yeah, like the first time they meet before he knows that she has Memento disease.
Yeah.
She's very charmed by him. They have a nice day and they're going to meet again. And then for like the 6 times after that, she's not having it. It's kind of just funny.
Yeah, he reuses the same joke sometimes. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's actually maybe one of the more interesting things the movie has to say about how sometimes it's not even the exact like kismet of factors coming together. It's just some switch in her brain wasn't on in that moment.
Yeah, it's like they just like. Yeah, like what if, like for people out there who like, met their significant other on a date, like what if they just were the alchemistry of the planet like was not in your favor at that moment?
Because you often think about like how would something go different if this one little factor changed, but sometimes maybe the answer would sometimes be it would also not work even if that factor was different. It would just not work because it wasn't going to work.
Exactly. And that is kind of right. It's an interesting idea, and like it's kind of it's. I mean, it makes you think about like love and stuff.
That's something you could kind of build a whole movie around that more than this movie does. This movie is a little bit built around that, but you could really build a movie around.
Right.
That
I mean, that was my nose. Like that scene where they wake up together and it's kind of fun, but also kind of scary. Like I can definitely see there being a like a Sundance version of this movie that digs into that and makes it a little edgier.
Yeah.
And that movie this imaginary movie would actually kind of grapple with that a little bit more.
Yeah. And then interestingly, Memento does have a pretty much identical setup for a scene, which is that he wakes up next to somebody, but he plays it really cool.
Right.
And he just tries to, it's just
it's the thing. He's aware he has to pretend not to freak out all the time.
Okay, I guess the hugest difference of the two movies is that he knows he has Memento disease.
Right.
And she doesn't.
Right. He knows
because she has not seen the movie Memento. Right. He has.
But she has seen the movie The Sixth Sense, which this movie's fucking spoiled for me before I got a chance to see it as a kid.
That's really funny. It was also so funny watching them roll their eyes when she's freaking out on Sixth. I mean, all the stuff before when they're recreating the same day over and over, you're just thinking these guys are in this hell.
I know, and it's kind of a really disturbing concept that they've like constructed. She's in like a loop. She's in like a closed real life loop of them.
Yeah.
She's everyone
like
lying to her every
She's
day.
like in Groundhog Day or Palm Springs, but she doesn't know about it. She's just one of the side people in it, and they know about it, but they can't do anything about it.
And Adam Sandler rightly says, I think part of why she's freaked out isn't just that she has Memento disease, but that
she finds out you're lying.
Yeah, that her family and friends are like constructed this worldwide lie for you. It's kind of fucked up.
I know, but
kind of cool.
Yeah, I know. There are small discrete parts of this movie that could all spin out into their own very interesting highbrow movie.
And then Rob Schneider himself walks onto the field in his fucking jean shorts and his fake dead eye.
Yeah, that movie would just actually have to get sealed underground in a concrete bunker.
I think 50 First Dates could have been so much worse based on the concept, and if someone on board was steering.
Somebody had empathy
some interesting way.
In that.
Yes.
In that, somebody in the production process had so much empathy that they managed to overcome this very tricky premise.
Yeah, like we said, she is sometimes the butt of the joke, but only in a way that's pretty soft. And whenever it seems like they're manipulating her too much, she gets the better joke.
And also, Adam Sandler's character has a pretty quick face turn.
Yes.
Which I guess the opposite of a heel turn.
Face turn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because in the beginning, he's a dirtbag. He's always lying to people, but he goes into this relationship very much wanting to do the right thing. I guess just immediately, he's like not a bad person. He just doesn't want to settle down.
Right.
So he recognizes that this person's in a very precarious condition where she can be manipulated, and he identifies that he likes her and he doesn't want to manipulate her.
Right. He just wants to be around her. So he keeps trying to find a way that he can still be dating her, but not be hurting her.
Yeah, because like the really bad version of this movie is, you've seen Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah.
So remember in Groundhog Day, he goes up to the woman in the bar and he just says, "Where'd you go to high school?
what's some stuff about you?
Yeah, he asks like 3 facts about her and he leaves. She's like, that was weird. And then the next loop, he comes back and he acts like he knew her from high school and he uses those facts to sleep with her.
Yeah.
And the worst version of 50 First Dates is that 50 times.
Right. And they think that's why they're so protective of her, the family.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And also it kind of makes sense that they have this weird like kabuki they play for her because I don't know. How do you react to that? What do you do? That's one option that you might go with.
Well, I mean, hey, doing the highbrow, lowbrow of it, like in 50 First Dates, she is trapped, but by empathy and love. Like people want the best for her, but they're trying to find the best way to do it.
Which kind of robs her agency.
Right. And she eventually kind of gets her agency back. But again, it's all people with good intentions just, messing up. Whereas Memento, he is also trapped in a loop, in a design loop.
And people constantly only manipulate him.
Right. It's like he is trapped by rage and vengeance to be this like demonic, emotionless killing machine.
Weirdly, he's the stable part in his life.
Like I was thinking when I was watching the movie, I was like, why is he out in the world and not like in an institution or something? And then I realized, because like Joey Pants, like I have this tool I can unleash upon. Like at first it was I'm gonna help him get vengeance, right? And now it's like I now have this vengeance machine I can use.
Yeah, he has that moment where he shows the photo of him after he killed John G, and he says, "Look at that face! I wanted to see that face again," which is probably kind of a lie. Maybe I don't know. There was probably a point where that wasn't a lie, and by now it is.
Yeah, I think. He seemed like the vibe I got was he was a corrupt cop. He is a corrupt cop who, nonetheless, like even corrupt cops like do their job.
Yeah,
I think
sometimes.
Yeah, if you're a corrupt cop,
please
don't
rate, review, and subscribe.
But yeah,
and please stop being a corrupt cop.
Yeah, be a good cop.
Yeah,
do good cop things,
and then talk to us.
And he mentions that like he was the cop assigned to the case. So it seems like, at least from what we can guess, he wanted to help him get vengeance.
Yeah.
Basically the plot of the movie Vengeance.
Or is it that he was a straight cop and this opportunity turned him crooked?
Corrupt? Maybe, but like, I don't know. It's not like, I think he must have been corrupt in some way because it seems like he's finding ways to like have him kill drug dealers at random so he can like steal their money. That's at least the first hustle.
Well, okay, so the progression, there is a progression that could be that I don't remember exactly if this is what the movie explicitly says, but so the first time he has Lenny kill somebody is he kills the man who killed his wife, John G, because he knows that the guy slipped through the cracks and that the only way to bring this man to justice is to have him kill him.
Yeah.
And then you could go, maybe he like started doing that again. Yeah. And he's like, oh, here's another guy who slipped through the cracks. I can stick Lenny on him. Right. And then finally he did that enough where he kind of got inured to the idea of sticking Lenny on people. And he's like, well, this guy's a bad guy.
Yeah,
he's
deals
a drug
drugs.
dealer, so maybe I can just make some money off him.
Yeah. Although I do think, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and that's also a really interesting movie that you could spin off. Yeah. Being corrupted by, it's like my friend, the emotionless Terminator.
Yeah.
But like, you also have the scene where he, it's like, well, it's late where like Guy Pearce comes out and like Teddy is talking to him. He's like, oh, like there's that corrupt cop who's talking to you and leaving stuff under your door. Like, and he's kind of giggling and like talking about himself. Yeah. Like, definitely like he has a very, and also makes the character and the performance interesting. Like, he has like a very like kind of funny sense of it. Like,
yeah, like he's kind of a funny guy, and he's kind of actually his friend in a weird way. Like he does care about him,
right? Like he doesn't, like he's using him and manipulating him, and that's bad.
But he also cares about him to some extent,
right? He wants him to like he in his mind. I don't know if it's like he think he knows he's doing bad, but he has that little half justification of like this. I'm giving this guy the only bliss he can ever feel. Yeah, and also him laughing. Just funny little side story. The other day, I spent all day watching football, and some friends of ours spent all day drinking. And one of our friends, who I'm not going to say on mic because I'm not going to call anyone out, was like so extraordinarily drunk to the point they kept forgetting everything constantly, and like forgetting where things are happening and forgetting when we showed up and like saying the same things over and over again. And then when I watched Memento and I saw Joey Pants constantly like having these little sidelines, like, oh yeah, Lenny, right? Sorry, yeah, you never heard that. Oh, you already told me the story about Sammy Jenkins. I was like, man. I just went through this. I feel for you, Joey Pants.
Memento is a movie that's very relatable if you've ever blacked out drinking and just woken up somewhere and you couldn't really remember how you got there.
Or if you've ever had a friend who did that and were around them constantly. Yeah. I don't know. That story adds up to nothing, but I thought it was funny.
All
right. Should we play a game?
All right. So our game is that every episode we find a list from Letterboxd that includes one of the movies from our theme. And then we try to get the other person to guess as many of those movies from the list as possible in 1 minute. This time the list is male protagonists that I could easily beat up in a fight.
Right. And and very clearly they're talking 51st Dates, right?
It's 51st Dates.
Yeah,
It's Adam Sandler.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone...
Lenny is a scary dude. I don't think I could beat him in a fight.
Right, unless the person like making this list is like super tough and like knows karate, in which case maybe he could.
I will give credit to the person in Letterboxd. This is Clara Curtis, and it's actually a funny caption. It says, "Yes, I am a 5'4", barely 110 pounds, white AFAB," which I don't know what that acronym means, but I know I could beat these guys' asses. I just know it. I'm built different. Funny writing.
All right.
Here we go. I accidentally put 23 hours on the clock.
Okay, I bet I could get all of them in that time.
Yeah. Okay. Go. Yeah. All right. First movie ends on a bus. 2 characters.
The Graduate.
Yeah. Next movie, very big difference in age dating.
Harold Mod.
Yeah. Next one, zombie rom-com.
Zombieland.
No, the other
Warm
one.
Bodies.
The other one, yeah. This one, it's a religious figure, but there's more than one of them. It's got Malkovich, I think. It dovetailed into. There's a TV show that has a similar title.
It's Two Popes.
Yeah. Okay, this one, rats in a toilet.
Flushed away.
Yep. All right, this one, the door could easily fit the guy.
The what?
The door could have fit the guy in the end. It's fucking stupid.
Oh, Titanic.
Yeah. The guy has sex with somebody and has a dance number about it.
Oh, like 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah.
500 First Dates.
Okay, this one, the Sex Bob-ombs is the band in it.
Oh, Scott Pilgrim.
Yep.
Should not be on that list.
A lot of hair changes.
Eternal Sunshine.
Yep. This is a sequel to a Netflix movie. It's got like a cult.
Time's up. How do we do? How many do we get?
We got 9.
9's not bad.
9's not bad for a minute. That was the Babysitter Killer Queen. I was having trouble describing that one.
Oh yeah.
Because I think we established that I can't use quotes. I was gonna do "You Stab Me in the Boob," but the second movie.
Oh. That would have worked.
Yeah.
That would have been really tough because I was like, Netflix movies don't usually have sequels. They're usually these kind of like one-off, like high concept things. Except that one.
Yeah.
That was fun. I mean, the 500 Days and Eternal Sunshine I only got because they were on another.
They're on the last list. Yeah. I guess a lot of.
I will say this. I think they're wrong about Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim canonically has superpowers.
Does he?
I mean, in that movie, he fight and he knows how to fight.
I guess so.
I mean, if you think it's all 100%,
and the movie is all about him fighting people,
right? If you think if your interpretation is it's 100% metaphorical, like in that movie, then
that's what I think it is.
I just think they live in a world where just shit's crazy.
Oh, I thought it was just all a metaphor.
Or sorry, if you think that like it's all in his head, I mean, it is a metaphor for like relationships and stuff.
Well, yeah.
Right, like
in the way that Superman
level,
is also a metaphor for something,
like relationships and stuff.
For relationships. Shit,
it's the real reading.
Yeah.
No, but like I think that in that movie, people just have cool powers and shit. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Just cartoony world. But if maybe this person is saying that they have in that world would have better cartoony power, but like man, he beats 7 evil exes.
That's true. You want to know what the funniest inclusion on this list is?
Tell me.
Swiss Army Man.
I mean, I think probably he's kind of like
he's dead.
Oh no, I was thinking Paul Dano's. He's really the protagonist.
I consider the dead man to be the main character of Swiss Army Man, and he would be easy to beat up because he's dead.
You've seen Swiss Army Man, right?
I haven't. I really directed by the Dans.
Yeah, by the Daniels.
The Daniels,
the guys who did the Turn Down for What?
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know that you will love it. I think that you should see.
I think I have to see it.
I think it's like it is a vision. There's they are
the work of an auteur,
right? It's
2 auteurs.
Whether or not it is a work of art, it
Both
was made by artists.
Yeah.
It's I guess last thoughts. We never did a which does it better. I mean, we don't always do that. I mean, I think
weirdly, 50 First Dates is kind of like a more realistic,
more relatable,
humanistic take on how this would. Well, because Memento is so misanthropic that it doesn't really. It has a little bit of the idea that people would try to help him,
right?
Almost always they try to antagonize him.
Yeah.
In 50 First Dates, it does have the element that people would try to help you live with this condition.
Yeah.
So in some ways, that's kind of a more humanistic, realistic take on it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, yeah.
But then it has fucking Rob Schneider.
Right. Exactly. I mean, automatically Rob Schneider means that it's not as good a movie as Memento.
I did laugh pretty hard when the walrus vomited on that person.
I mean, sure.
I mean, I didn't feel good about it.
I mean, yeah, fine. I mean, I remember seeing that and being like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
I mean, wow, that's a lot of vomit.
But to your point, like the that's kind of the interesting thing is that like Memento doesn't really grapple with like what would it be like to have someone in your life. Like what are the like day-to-day problems raised by someone with short-term memory loss as much. It's much more about these greater issues.
Yeah.
These much like bigger themes of just like, are we just brains? Like, do memories matter? Like, are we people? Like all these kind of like identity things.
Well, actually, in the Lenny or
the Sammy Jenkins stuff,
Sammy
does
Jenkins
get into
stuff,
that more.
That does get into that because that is about a person who cares. I guess it's really Guy Pearce, but it does about a woman who cares about him so deeply that it ruins her life.
Right.
She kind of is the 500. I keep on almost saying 500 Days of Summer, the 51st Dates family.
Yeah. But 51st Dates is like actually is kind of like what would be a more relatable level of like what is the struggle of like having to have this in your life.
How could a community come together to try to let this person have a life?
Right. Which is very sweet.
Yeah.
And kind of understandable. But
there's a lot of good parts of 51st Dates, more than I expected.
Right. I mean, I had remembered it more fondly than I think I came to it, but I just because I had completely blocked out the Rob Schneider character from my mind. I literally only remembered the good stuff of Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like, even if I thought 51st Dates was fantastic, I think it's like good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it's a hot take to say Memento is better. I think Memento is like a classic for a reason.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And your ex?
And your ex. My Rec is a podcast.
Oh,
I don't think I've done one of those before.
Yeah.
John Ronson has a new podcast out.
Oh, the Butterfly Effect guy?
Yes.
Oh. So
John Ronson, author of So You've Been Publicly Shamed and Men Who Stare at Goats, and now he does podcasts. He did 2 great podcasts about porn. You should check them out.
Yeah. The Butterfly Effect. The first season is about the effect that streaming porn, like Pornhub, had on the industry, which is very widespread and interesting and unexpected.
Yeah, and then the second season all about a specific porn star committed suicide and him like digging into the story there. And this one not about porn, but it has the same idea of what are the weird little butterfly effects. And so he specifically comes at from the angle of what are of the culture wars in America and like how did these arise and trying to like find them at the source and what are the weird things. So each episode, it's very episodic. Like one episode's about abortion and how like evangelicals started giving, because apparently evangelicals used to not care about abortion. It was just not an issue for them.
Interesting.
And like all the weird little things that kind of spun out of that. And then about like book burning. This is an episode now. And like he did a little episode about Tammy Faye Baker.
Yeah.
I mean, John Ronson's got a smooth, silky, cool British voice, and he's the best kind of journalist who just sort of, when he comes across a thing he doesn't understand, he just calls up that person if they're still alive and asks them about it.
Yeah, he's a real craftsman.
Oh yeah,
he's very good. Also, but he is also directly responsible for me looking really weird at parties when I know too much about the porn industry because I listened to both those seasons of The Butterfly Effect. It happened to me on Sunday where porn came up somehow, and I just had too many fun facts, and it looked weird.
Okay, I recommend all of it. The Butterfly Effect and The Last Days of August are both good, but the one I'm listening to now is Things Fall Apart, is the name of the podcast. And it's kind of neat. I don't think it's quite as good as the other ones, because it is more like it's just these kind of 30-minute like bursts of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan. I'm digging. I'm like episode 5 now.
Great. Mine is not too much of a deep cut. It's actually out right now. Yellowjackets is really good.
Oh, really?
I'm really enjoying it.
Check it out.
Yeah, it's about in the 1996, a girls' soccer team crash lands in the wilderness, and they're stuck out there for 19 months, and it gets into some weird stuff where it seems like they probably ate each other. There's kind of some culty stuff going on, and then it's those scenes of them crash intercut with them in present day, and there's some other creepy stuff happening.
Cool.
And it's just really good.
Yeah. I've only heard like that it's got so much buzz on it right now.
Yeah, great cast.
Yeah. Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis is really good in it.
Christina Ricci
is really good. And the
Melanie Linsky.
Yeah, right. She was the one from I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore.
Right.
At first I thought she was from Fargo, but that's a different actress.
That's Alison Tolman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's really good in it specifically.
Yeah.
Because she's just playing this like very kind of quietly traumatized person who is very good at hiding it, but just has little outbursts sometimes. Yeah. It's very good. It's a good show.
Yep. Seems interesting.
Also looks great.
Yeah.
And well acted and well written and all that.
Yeah. I'll check it out and report back.
All right.
Although maybe this will be like a Station 11 situation where you have to report back if it's actually still good. Like where I only watched the pilot when I did how many episodes of Yellowjackets have you seen?
I've seen all.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, I've seen season 1. I've seen every episode that exists currently.
You really set me up to look like a real asshole there.
Yeah, you should have done more work on Station 11. I watched the first episode of Station 11 yesterday. Actually, it's pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I think you really like where the show goes because every episode's kind of different.
That actor is in Don't Look Up, right?
Yeah, he's the Jennifer Lawrence's boyfriend.
Yeah,
he's great. He's really good on Station 11.
Yeah, he's very good.
Excited to see where you go with that. We can always pivot to make this a Station 11 podcast. Very in right now.
Yep.
Highbrow, lowbrow, Station 11. The book and the show.
Done. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, we've been here longer than we thought. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Please recommend us to anybody you think might like our podcast.
Tell your friends. Repost our shit. Get the word out. We love doing this. We love that you're listening, and we want more people to do it.
And if you're just listening, you don't follow us on Instagram. If you do have an Instagram or a Facebook, go ahead and give us a follow on there.
Yeah, we're posting a lot of stuff every day. Just little clips, things to remind you about the episodes. Cooper's been killing it on the Photoshop game.
I've spent so much time digging around with Photoshop in the office.
And if you're not subscribed to the podcast, subscribe to the podcast on your podcast so you can see the episodes when they pop up.
Right. The moment it drops.
Yeah, you want to see it. You want to wake up on Friday and you want to see the weird beholder head of our logo staring at you in the face, imparting you to listen to whatever our next episode is, which we haven't decided, but maybe we have.
All right. Yeah, and we're starting to do some polls to quiz our fans about what we should do next. So if you want some input on what we do, you can follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
All right.
Goodbye
Bye forever.